my channel Kuluru Vinith. So in the last video we have written the transaction repository implementation, and today I will try to wind up the data layer writing. That is, I'll complete DataStore repository implementation, and also just create the database room database class as well. Okay, so before that I have to define the keys as a constants before referring them to the DataStore in the DataStore repository IMPL. So let me create a file called the constants. Okay, and there I will define all constants that I have to keep track of. Okay, so here first what are all constants. So for declaring this as the constants and referring across whole project, we'll have to make them as a companion object like static values. Okay, so first is the limit key. So I will just name it as a limit key, and we will name this as the expense key. Okay, and the next is the welcome key. Okay, const var welcome key, and we will name this as the welcome. Okay, and next one is the income. Okay, and next one is expense. Okay, next one is expense, and one more is the currency key. Const var currency key. That is, let's name this as the currency. Okay, and now one more is the expense limit key. Const var expense limit key, and name this as the expense limit. Okay, and one more is the limit duration, and let's name this as the limit duration itself. Okay, and final one is the just privacy URL. For now I'll keep my GitHub link, later we'll see. Okay, so github.com/ okay, so these are all the privacy, right? Okay, so these are all the constants that would be in need of. So now let me go back to the repository and then create the DataStore repository implementation. Okay, DataStore repository implementation. Okay, here we will inject the what is needed to get this repository implementation done. So here I would need the context of the application we are in. So that is this context, and I have to inherit DataStore repository. And first let me implement all members. Okay, so that is, let me select all of them. Okay, fine. So we have created a DataStore repository IMPL and injected context and also inherited the DataStore repository. Before going that, I should create one extension property on context object. So let me create that, and you will know why is that needed while I'm writing down the code. Okay, so I will create here itself on context dot DataStore. So here I will return type would be of DataStore, and here it will be of preferences. This one, and this we'll use the by keyword and call preferences data store by passing the name. What is our name data store? So for now I will keep this as the expense key store. Okay, so now in each function we will call that data store preferences and then do the respective operations. So first we should write the write onboarding key to data store. So to write it, so what I should do is data store dot, so we should call the first, before that I have to create some variables so that we can have access the data store we have created. So first let me create one properties, private world data store. So in this I will directly store in context of data store and create variables keys for the things which you are going to store. So first is the onboarding key. Okay, so onboarding key would be boolean, right? Boolean preferences key, and the name would be constants dot, which we have just created. It will be welcome key. Okay, so similarly I will define what and all the keys we are going to store in the data store here itself as the variables, and then we can refer in the respective functions to get the to do the respective operations. Okay, so next is the get limit key. So here limit key will also be a boolean preferences key and the name would be limit key. Okay, so same like that. Next would be the selected currency. Okay, currency, and this would be string. Okay, string preference key, then constant dot currency key, and next would be expense limit. That is, this would be of type double preferences key, right? And here name would be constants dot expense limit key. Okay, and one more thing is the limit duration. Limit duration would be of type integers. So reference key constants dot limit duration. Okay, so these are all the keys that we'll be storing in the data store preferences. So now let's get the respective operations done. First I have to insert the whether user has completed the onboarding key or not. So that is writing onboarding key to data store. So for that to happen, we just have to create like this and store here the parameter. Okay, for writing we just have to call the edit and then do the store of onboarding key, on which key we have to store the particular completed, whether false or true. Okay, and similarly to read onboarding key, we just have to first get the preferences. We have to first get the data store.data, and then we have, since it is a flow, I have to call the collector, and then I will call here preferences dot collect, and in this I name this as the preferences, and finally we should emit the preferences of the onboarding key. Okay, preferences of onboarding key. If it's not present, so we will just pass it as the false. And now write currency key to data store. Here nothing but data store dot edit store do the same for what is this, selected currency. Okay, and here we will store that above input parameter, and similarly if you want to read, same, we will get the preferences equals to the data store dot data and return flow of preferences dot collect, okay, and call preferences, emit preferences of selected currency. If not present, we will just return empty string, okay. And similarly write expense limit to data store, that is, so let me close this, okay. Here again data store dot edit store of, this is expense limit, right? So expense limit, we will just store the amount, okay. And read expense limit, it will be same. We will first get the data store dot data and then return flow preferences dot collect preferences. We will emit preferences of expense limit. If not present, we will just return the 0.0 default value, okay. And here write limit key data store, again data store dot edit store, let me name this as store, and here limit key we will just put enabled, and here again we should read it, right? So call data store dot data and then we return flow preferences dot collect preferences and emit the preferences of particular key. This is limit key. If not present, we will just return false, and do the same for writing duration to data store, that is data store dot edit store of limit duration equals to duration, and reading limit, we first call the data of property on data store and then we will return flow and preferences dot collect preferences dot collect, and then we will emit that particular key, that is limit duration. If not present, we will just emit 0, okay. And finally we have to erase the data store. Further to happen, we just have to, what we'll do is we just have to edit, and here I have to call the remove option on the all keys, that is limit key it dot remove limit duration and id dot remove expense limit, okay, fine. So this would remove all the keys which it has remembered, that is limit key, limit duration and expense limit, okay. So this is the data store repository implementations. And one more thing, we for now I'll create just a database definition, and in the coming video, while we are writing the dependency injection package, their complete initialization of the database will be done. For now I will define the abstract class of transaction database inheriting from the room database, okay. So first let me name that as the transaction database, transaction database, okay, fine. So this first I will make this as the abstract class, and also I will inherit this from room database, and in this I will create abstract transaction dev, okay. And also for this we have to annotate, multiple annotations has to be applied on this class, okay. First is the type converters, okay, so which I have created before for date converter. So this is where we let the database know that we have created one date converter, so that it can make use of it if it's not known of the type we have defined. Okay, and so that is one type converters, and now we have to annotate this with the database. And in database we have to mention all entities, that is the tables that are associated with this uh, database. First is the transactions transactions DTO. So I will transaction DTO, this one, and another one is the account, just a second, account DTO. Okay, so this will know that these are the entities that are associated with this database. And then we'll have the other options to export the schema of this database tables, and also versioning also will be present. So for now I'll make this as a true, and the version I'll name it as a 1. Okay, so this is the simple definition of the transaction database, and we have to annotate with it converters associated with it, and entities in the annotation of the database mention the entities and version, and we should be need the export of the schema or not. Okay, so this is it for this video. Thank you so much. We have done with the data layer. From coming video there is one more video where we will write the dependency injections package, and once we are done with that we will move to the presentation layer, which is really exciting for us. Okay, so thank you so much.